Shalom, shalom, shalom. I'm True, obviously, from United States, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. I'm Torah only, original text only. I don't usually deal with the Masoretic text. I would usually deal with like an older, more authentic original text, either the Septuagint, the Stone Tanakh, or sometimes the Dead Sea Scrolls to verify, or the Targums. I use the King James Version for edification, but that's not my go-to scripture choice. All right? Anybody else want to introduce themselves? The show is started.
Yeah, I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm gonna introduce myself. I think we met before in a different page. I think we had a discussion before, but I'm in New Jersey, and we follow the Torah and the New Testament. We use the King James Version. We also utilize Tanakh, Septuagint, etc., Apocrypha. But most definitely we use. So we look forward to have a peaceful discussion, dialogue
You
concerning the Messiah of Daniel 9 and also Malachi. We look forward to having a peaceful dialogue where we can, just display what we believe, and you could then show us what you believe, and we could keep it a peaceful and respectful dialogue as we move forward.
right, like I said, I'm going to do it because of the situation. I got a little late on here, and I didn't really notify any of the guys, and it's not. But this was the main thing. It was like, who's the Messiah that confirmed the covenant before the destruction of the temple, AD 70 in Daniel 9. My problem with that, right, isn't so much about the Messiah part, not about the covenant part, but the wide area, the saying of before the destruction of the temple in 70 AD, which we have 70 AD based upon, I guess we could say, history, et cetera, but we don't have that biblically. That's what I mean by wide. It's like saying, who's the Messiah confirmed the covenant before the destruction of the World Trade Center? You get what I'm saying? We got to understand that scripture-wise versus history-wise versus what we see doesn't necessarily mean just because certain things happen that they connect with one another. And possible they might have connected with one another. I'm not saying that they did or didn't, but I want to show by scripture when you're dealing with Daniel 9, let's look for the Messiah in Daniel 9. Let's look for the covenant and figure out what covenant that is referring to from Daniel 9. And what was it referring to as anything that being destroyed or destruction? I mean, we can all get on that same page and agree with that, correct?
Yeah, I would agree. We could look at it. We will display where we stand
Mm-hmm.
concerning it, and we'll be very attentive to hear where you stand, and what you would utilize to put forward where you stand. And like I said, at the end of the day, let's have a respectful and a peaceful dialogue, just sharing with each other, and be able to see where each other stand.
Right. And another thing, as you can see, this is not. Originally I was going to. All right. You said what verse particularly?
25 to 27.
All right, 25 to 27. Now, keep in mind, from my persuasion. All right, let me read it from 23. That'll make it a little bit better. At the beginning of the supplication, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider division. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression, and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Verse 25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, in the wall, even in troublous times. All right. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the Prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. All right. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation, and then there determined shall be poured upon the desolate. All right. Like I said, that's the KJV rendition of the Masoretic text. And that language that you see there, it is kind of like clear. Because like I can go back and draw from that, right? I can draw from that, especially that let me get to that main verse that we said. The 70 weeks are determined upon the people and upon the holy city. We know that holy city, we can all agree with that. To finish the transgression, and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring everlasting righteousness. Keyword, everlasting righteousness, and seal up the vision and prophecy. We got to go and find that prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Obviously, that's self-explanatory. And then it says, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks. Separating it from the person that deals with the commandment and also giving us a Messiah. So there's two different people right there, or two different persons right there. And I agree fully that it's two different persons right there. All right? But everything else we can search through the scriptures and actually find what was the commandment that came forth and the 72 weeks and all that stuff. We can find that. And obviously we know what everlasting righteousness means, and we know and to anoint the most holy. It's telling you from the door to anoint the most holy. All right? That's from the KJV version. Now, you heard what I just said. Anybody else want to say anything on that or add to that before I go to the Septuagint version?
Well, what I would add, starting at 25, knowing therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandments to restore and to build Jerusalem, they're speaking concerning the decree that Cyrus gave, from the time that decree is given until the time is built. All right, until the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks. All right, and 62 weeks. The streets shall be built again. So basically, Jerusalem is going to be rebuilt, is going to be restored. Even in troublesome times, it's going to be rebuilt and restored. And after 62 weeks shall the Messiah be cut off. Now, this is after the temple is built.
Correct.
After it is completed and built, the Messiah is going to come, and he's going to be cut off. All right? But not for himself.
Correct.
All right? That's another key point. All right? And the people of the Prince shall come, and shall destroy the city. Well, we know according to history that's 70 AD. So we all could agree there. So what we're looking at and what we want to point out is that shortly or sometime before AD 70, a Messiah was to come and he was to be cut off, killed, but not for himself, meaning nothing of his doing, not that he erred or anything, but he was killed for his people. And and the sanctuary and the end thereof shall be with a flood unto the end of war. Desolation is determined. All right. So we looking right there. All right. 25, 26, that sets a premise for us. The temple is going to be restored. It's going to be rebuilt. And the Messiah is going to come during that time. Now, we know that after the Israelites returned, they started to rebuild the temple, but then later, after Cyrus died, and other kings as such stood up that we can find in the book of Ezra, they stopped them from building. They had stopped them from building. They gave them some, some problems here and there, and they stopped them, and then it didn't continue until later time. And then it was able to continue after they found the necessary documents, et cetera, and then they were able to continue to do the building. And they started the building, and which was completed, according to history and others, during the time of Herod. During the time of Herod, we have a completion of the temple. So sometime around that time, the time of Herod, we're supposed to have a Messiah that's there. And then this Messiah now is to be cut off, killed, murdered, or something to that effect. We can go into the explanation of it. And after he is cut off, shortly after that, the temple would be destroyed. So that premise there, 27, lets us know what he's going to do while he's there, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. All right. So within a week, he's going to confirm the covenant, and in the midst of that week, all right, he shall cause the sacrifice and the obligations to cease. All right. So this is just looking at his ministry of what he's going to be doing. He's going to be speaking on the covenant and confirming the covenant, et cetera, et cetera. But our main point of contention that we want to put forward and, have some, serious dialogue on 25 and 26 concerning the Messiah coming as the temple is built, as he's being cut off, as he's being cut off shortly before the temple is destroyed. So we want to, kind of look at that, set a time and a place, and then be able to say, let's see if history and scripture could kind of allow us to narrow in on who the individual is. So, that's our premise where we would stand. Let me see if any of the other brothers have anything they want to add to that before we turn back over to you.
Yes, shalom, Kam. My name is Akono Baraya, and I just want to quickly point out something. I think the brother would agree with me if I say that for us to, we know that prophecy is true, and for us to actually know that prophecy have come to pass, we have to look at history. I don't know if you will agree with me, because for us to actually know that a prophecy have come to pass, we have to go into history. You might not have in scripture that, what this prophecy is being fulfilled, but then history can confirm that this prophecy have been fulfilled. I don't know if you would agree with me on that point.
No. Like I said, I'm